Today's spooky spot. Spot's finishing his looks at the McFarlane Monster Series 2 Twisted Land of Oz. This is the Wizard. The Wizard is not recommended for ages 15 below, and it does include the final chapter. This is chapter 9 of the Twisted Land of Oz mythology. It appears that he also comes included with some sort of assistant. Doesn't quite read to me as a munchkin, but nonetheless, can't wait to get this guy out of packaging. Sorry, what? Yes, Socrates is not here. He hasn't been here for the last little while. His date's going better than expected, it would appear. So unfortunately, he probably will not be joining us for the rest of Spottober. Lone tier. In the meantime, though, Spot pushes on, despite the fact that my inanimate comrade is no longer in here for the wrap up this. It is kind of a bummer, I know. He's not here for the rest of this month, but nonetheless, we'll have to push on. We'll have to be strong. I'll be strong for both of us. The back of the package not only gives you a price tag of $13.95 from Puzzle Zoo. I did not buy it from Puzzle Zoo. I bought it from eBay many years ago, actually. The characters that we've been looking at over the course of these spooky spots are the Cowardly Lion, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, Toto, and Dorothy, with the Wizard, obviously, just like the movie, Wizard really being the destination point. That was where we were eventually going to arrive to, the Wizard, and then we're going to be looking at that today. You could say, hey, Spot, wait a minute, there's the Flying Monkeys and Munchkin set. Yeah, unfortunately, it never picked that up. It's too expensive. It was only a Spawn store exclusive, and the prices on this guy, or these guys, have skyrocketed. I guess the only thing I kind of wish that this set had brought to the table, now that we can kind of look at it and reflect on life, I wish there had been an actual Wicked Witch. They should have incorporated a Wicked Witch somehow. I'm sure they could have gone really crazy on a Wicked Witch. At any rate, McFarlane Toys' second monster series is based on the L. Frank Baum novel, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. The classic characters in this book receive a bit of a twist in this series, an artistic interpretation of what could have been in an alternate Wizard of Oz universe. Spot's going to take a very terrifying break, the very last terrifying break, I might add, for this month. Yes, spooky spots are wrapped up for this month. Again, another lone tier. Lone tier for my inanimate crow. He's not here. Lone tier for the fact that we're near the end, and this is the end of spooky spots. But rest assured, as quickly and as reliably as the sun rises and sets, gosh darn it, we're going to have a spooky spots next year as well. That being said, Spot's going to take his very last blood-curdling break. We'll just kind of take this all in. And when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Wizard from the Twisted Land of Oz. There's more coming your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. And finally, for the very last spooky spot for this year, we're going to be looking at, of course, the final chapter of the Twisted Land of Oz story. Spot does apologize that I didn't get really a chance to read this. I mean, really, even if you look at chapter 9, Destiny Awaits, look how long this is. Now, you imagine if I had added that to every one of these reviews, you can imagine how much longer the review would be by me just simply reading this. So I opted, and I kind of wish I had done it now, but I opted not to end up reading it just because I knew it would take up so much more extra time that you guys want to just sit here and you want to be able to see the figure. So ultimately, I just left it off. As a little side note, McFarlane really should put a lot of that kind of stuff, the artwork of his different figure lines, the stories, stuff like that, really into a book. Like a McFarlane art or the best of McFarlane, something where people like this could appreciate the amount of time and care he puts into the figures, or used to put in the figures. Like, again, these figures are 13 years old. Okay, so the first thing we're going to have a look at is, yes, once again, a display stand. Display stand doesn't really seem all that much different. Well, let's for example, there's the Tin Man's. Yeah, you can see it's, I mean, just shy of it being almost an exact carbon copy. The shapes are slightly different, but really the display stands are so very similar that there's really not much different to them. I mean, if you took enough of these, you could probably just make, but really the shape would just be a series of curves, you know. it would just basically be continuing on like that. I wish they had actually put some sort of fluidity, I suppose, to it, so it actually was shaped like a path. But as it is, I mean, you're probably going to be displaying your figures standing next to each other anyways. You're ultimately probably just going to be displaying them like this. So we'll put that to the side. We'll just put that one there. Okay, let's start with the smaller accessories, and then we'll work our way up. Included with the wizard, you get yourself a syringe. You'll probably notice a common color of green being represented here in all the accessories and things that come with the wizard. I don't know what that syringe is full of, but it's something green. It would be cool if it was literally like an emerald injection. Perhaps this is what's keeping the wizard alive. And he probably gets these on a regular basis. Probably injected by this fellow right here. We'll get into that in a second. Also included, he comes with what I can only gather to be some sort of carving tool or appliance. I mean, it does have a slight serrated bottom to it, so I'm imagining it would be some sort of surgical tool. Slightly primitive, but a surgical tool that would be used to cut stuff. I'll just put that right there. Then, of course, the larger of his accessories, he comes with his little, I can only imagine, like a lab assistant. Perhaps the wizard himself is somewhat of a mad scientist that perhaps again, all of this really could be based on the story, the aforementioned story that we just have not been reading. I'm sure it alludes exactly to what these characters are. Perhaps the wizard himself is responsible for all the augmentations to the characters that we've been looking at, the grotesque transformations that we've been seeing. Maybe are all because of this guy right here, a mad scientist doctor himself. Anyways, you've got what appears to be like just a little assistant, perhaps his Igor to Dr. Frankenstein here. He does have some posability in his arms, a little bit in his head. I mean, just not too much, but just a little, just your standard swivel left and right. He has a somewhat gremlin look to him. In fact, if anyone was to look like they enjoy their job, this guy looks like he really thoroughly enjoys doing stuff. Maybe torturing people, maybe just handing the tools to the wizard here as he performs his numerous different experiments. There's several different vials on the back side of the character here. They don't appear to be removable. But I guess maybe he just stores them. Maybe he uses them for the syringes. He's an interesting little chap, though. I don't know if I would say chap, but he's an interesting little character. I like him. The only thing I don't really like is the fact that his one foot sticks further down than this foot right here. It just means that he has the toughest of times standing. Especially the fact that he's also got no posability to speak of. There goes the wizard. We'll look at him in a second. But he's got no real posability in the legs. It just ultimately means that he stands really crooked, a lot of times just falling over. But what you can do is obviously utilize the fact that he's got the display stand. The display stand seems to do a fine enough job of holding the little character in place. I don't even want to call him a munchkin. I mean, I don't know, maybe, perhaps he's just some sort of Emerald City, again, assistant. We'll just put him right there. Luckily, the display stand will come in handy in this instance. It's going to help keep him up while we have a look at his boss. And that is the wizard. I kind of put the figure over here to the side because when he fell over, he revealed something I didn't want to reveal just yet. Let's have a look at the figure. The figure has a real debonair look to him. Almost a slight aristocrat kind of look designed to him. I love this jacket. Not that it's socially acceptable for me to wear a jacket such as this, but if I could get away with it, I totally would be wearing this out. It has all these little intricate details to them. You can see there, he's got all these, I don't know if they're just markings on the side of his jacket, but it's all this different scripture. I would imagine be Ozarian, whatever the language would be for the land of Oz. He's got the same sort of detailing down the side of his leggings, and he's got the very classic looking buckle style boots, or the buckle style shoes. it's a fantastic looking figure. Also capped off by the slight translucent area of his chest, which also carries over to the goggles of his mask. Now this is a preferred look for me for displaying him. I wish the mask, and this is something that's going to come off, but I wish that this stayed on just a little bit better. It reads a little bit like insectoid. It reads very much like a gas mask. I really like the look of this. I just wish this stayed in place a little bit better. My guess is he's also using this as a breathing apparatus, breathing from the main chamber that you see down below. And one of the other accessories that I didn't touch base on, he also comes with a cane. Now the cane looks like it's got some sort of gold, I don't know what you would call that. It looks like it's almost like a little ram, or perhaps like some sort of lizard. What's neat though is the back bottom part of the cane is actually a hand. A real hand, that I can't confirm, but a pretty cool hand nonetheless. The mask has come off yet again. All right, well, seeing as the mask wants to come off, let's do the big reveal. So, as mentioned, like, the mask doesn't do the greatest of jobs of staying in place. It does sit very loose. It flops around a lot because the reveal for the wizard, behind the curtain, so to speak, take that off, and you get this, which I don't even really know how to understand what this is. Like, judging by the back, he almost has a ram appearance to him, but the front of him almost comes across like he's a mummified corpse. He looks apparently like he's lost one eye. Even like his jaw looks like it's been attached later on. Like, perhaps he himself has been the experiment, and now being resurrected, he's choosing to further the experiments on others as well. It's not a bad look, but truthfully so, I actually like this look a lot more. It just looks a lot cooler. In fact, having the mask as far down as I can, even covering over the mouth, yeah, I think that's just a perfect way of displaying the character. When it comes to his posability, now he doesn't have as much, of course, as, say, the likes of the Tin Woodsman. His head does rotate very, very slightly, though. Arms rotate, and there goes his mask once again. His arms rotate, but slightly on an angle, just because of the way the cut of the joint has been added on. He has a swivel on the cuffs of the sleeves. He doesn't have any, well, he has a little bit, just a little bit of waist articulation. And luckily the jacket is rubbery, so it doesn't hinder that. It's just really stiff. And then finally, when it comes to his feet they don't appear to also have any sort of posability to them. So basically your waist, your arms, your wrists, and your head are your articulation points here on the wizard. Talking points, things I like about the figure, overall design, he's one of my favorites from this set, like this set of figures. Kind of now, as we have wrapped up this series of reviews, I'm just trying to think in the back of my mind, just kind of archiving everything that we've looked at, all the hardships we've had to deal with. Scarecrow. Certainly the lows of this line was the Scarecrow. Just a very poor executed character, one of which you can't really do too much with. Even just bumping him, everything will fall off of him. Some favorites, I like the Tin Man's posability. Dorothy, certainly one of my favorites as well, and I really like Toto. So, I mean, really all the figures, and the line, let's not forget the line, all the figures were really good, except for the Scarecrow. Today's spooktacular spot, the final spot of 2016. Take a moment to mourn for spooky spots for this year, but next year, Spooky Spots 2017 will be happening. As always, thanks for watching, as you always do, guys. Spot certainly appreciates it. Happy Halloween as well, and stay tuned for more videos. Certainly more videos are coming your way as well. Thanks for watching. See you next time.